The movie begins on the ocean, where Rin is trying to convince her brother Jared to go into the water with her once again. But something goes terribly wrong, and Jared suffers a serious injury that leaves him in a coma. 4 years later, Rin has dedicated herself to finding a way to bring her brother back. She has become the co-founder of a revolutionary form of virtual reality called Otherlife. Using nanotechnology, Rin has created biological software that can program new memories and create experiences that are completely indistinguishable from reality. During a presentation to potential investors, the technology immediately raises concerns. The investors point out that Rin's own father is one of the world's most published experts on the technology and has repeatedly warned about its dangers. They cite his research, which says that prolonged exposure could cause physical symptoms ranging from arrhythmia and seizures to brain death. Rin acknowledges that there are risks, but argues that abuse of any substance can be dangerous. She explains that the human brain is already firing billions of neurons every second. Otherlife simply gives those neurons a script to follow, building an artificial experience from fragments of the user's subconscious and turning it into something that becomes part of the mind like any other memory. The concept is simple. Otherlife can give someone an entire perfect day with everything happening exactly as they want it to, even though far less time passes in the real world. That means a person could experience an entire day while only seconds pass in the real world. But there is still one major limitation. The technology can only create a single day-long experience. It cannot yet provide anything longer. Rin regularly visits her brother Jared in the hospital, where he remains in a coma. She's convinced that there is still a way to reach him, and she's been secretly working on an application of Otherlife that could potentially repair a damaged brain. Her father, however, believes Jared is beyond recovery and wants his life support disconnected. With the launch only a week away, Rin continues testing Otherlife on herself, with engineer Byron helping monitor the system. To use Otherlife, Rin doesn't need to wear a bulky virtual reality headset or enter any kind of physical machine. Instead, the technology is administered directly through the eye. She sits in the testing chair while Byron prepares a small amount of the dark liquid. He places the liquid into her eye like an eye drop, allowing the nanites contained in the solution to enter her system. Once activated, the nanites communicate with her brain and deliver the programmed experience directly into her neural activity. Within moments, Rin's surroundings disappear, and she finds herself inside the artificial world created by Otherlife. For one of the tests, Rin is transported into a realistic mountain environment, where she prepares for a day of snowboarding. Everything initially appears to be working exactly as intended, but then instead of waking up when the experience is supposed to end, Rin finds herself trapped inside the simulation. The experience begins repeating, and the system continues advancing through additional days. She tries to stay calm by reminding herself that everything around her is only code, but the glitch becomes more severe. The mountain environment starts breaking apart around her, turning the once perfect snowboarding experience into something frightening. When Rin finally wakes up, Byron tells her that she has been inside the simulation for 6.5 days. Byron suggests they abandon the snowboarding experience, but Rin refuses. Her business partner, Sam, is counting on it being one of the biggest sellers when Otherlife launches, so she insists that they keep it. Rin promises to go back through the code that night and fix whatever caused the glitch. After her test goes wrong, Rin joins Sam for a pitch meeting with potential investors. Sam presents Otherlife as a revolutionary way to experience an entire day in almost no time. Sam also hints at the technology's much bigger potential. Holidays are only the beginning, because Otherlife could eventually be used for training, rehabilitation, therapy, and even years of experience could theoretically be added to someone's mind. Rin is less enthusiastic about rushing the product to market. She knows they are still finding bugs and wants more testers, along with additional servers to properly handle the system. Sam reminds her that they are running out of time and money and that they are only a week away from launch. Away from work, Rin's personal life is suffering because of her obsession with Otherlife. Rin has become so consumed by work that she even forgets about her plans with her boyfriend and coworker Danny, and leaves to return to the office. Back at work, Rin continues examining the code and the problems with the Alps experience. She is determined to make the system stable before launch, even though the strange recursive glitch hasn't completely disappeared. Then Byron and her boyfriend Danny reveal that Sam has asked them to work on a report about the long-term use of other life. Byron explains that he thought it was simply another research project and points out that the recursive glitch might actually be useful. If they can understand it, it could potentially become the key to creating simulations that last much longer than the current one-day limit. Ren is furious that Byron went behind her back to work on something Sam had not discussed with her. At the same time, Ren continues working on her secret research involving her brother. Her experiments are based on the idea that memories are chemical and that, by introducing the right experiences into Jared's mind, she might be able to restore some of the functions he lost. Ren's research eventually brings her back to her father, Dr. Robert Amari. She confronts him about his decision to stop Jared's life support. When Ren tells him that he cannot disconnect Jared while she is this close to fixing him, Robert makes it clear that he does not need her permission to make that decision. The next day, Sam and Byron confront Ren about the enormous amount of nanite stock she has been using. They know she has been running far more simulations than she should, and Byron wants to know what she is working on. Ren refuses to explain, telling them that the project is personal. Sam is frustrated because they're only 5 days away from launch, and he needs her focused on the actual product. Then Sam reveals what he believes could save the company. The potential investor he met with is a powerful figure connected to the Department of Corrections, and he is willing to put government money into Other Life. Sam is proposing to turn Other Life into a virtual prison. The idea is to put convicted criminals inside a simulated environment where they could experience years of confinement, while only a few minutes pass in the real world. Once their virtual sentence is complete, they could return to reality, having effectively served their time. Ren is horrified, and she reminds Sam that they created Other Life to broaden people's minds, not put them in a box. But Sam argues that they need the funding and accuses Ren of wanting the resources for her own secret project, while refusing to let him pursue an opportunity that could keep the company alive. The argument becomes heated, and Sam orders Ren to get back to work on the product they are actually trying to launch. Fed up with the argument, Ren leaves and meets her boyfriend Danny. She shows him one of her Other Life experiences, allowing him to experience the artificial world for himself. Danny is amazed by how real it feels. He enjoys the experience so much that he asks if he can go again. Ren agrees, not realizing that this time he is about to enter the experimental program she has been secretly developing for Jared. As the simulation begins, Danny starts convulsing and Ren can't save him. After Danny's death, Ren is taken in for questioning. The investigators want to know what she was working on and why she gave Danny an untested sample. Ren admits that she wrote the software herself, but she still refuses to explain the secret project she had been developing. Sam is furious and tells her that they are finished and that Danny's death could destroy everything they built. But then Ren is presented with an unexpected offer. Representatives from the Attorney General's office and the Department of Corrections explained that the state has enough evidence to take her to trial. She could be facing years in prison for unauthorized human testing, drug fraud, and malpractice. Instead, they offer her deferred prosecution. If Ren agrees to become a test subject in the government's virtual confinement program for 1 year, the state will not press the charges against her. Ren realizes that Sam has arranged the entire deal behind her back. But Sam insists that he is doing it to save her and the company. The government will keep the case out of the press and provide enough capital to get Other Life through its launch. Ren doesn't want to accept, but she has little choice, so she agrees to become the test subject. The confinement program is the longest simulation Other Life has ever attempted. Instead of the normal 24-hour limit, Ren will remain inside for 365 simulated days. Her virtual prison is deliberately stripped down to the bare essentials. She is placed in a small, isolated environment with food, hygiene facilities, and almost nothing else. The system performs a daily reset to give her brain a sense of continuity, but there is no real outside world, no meaningful human interaction, and nothing to occupy her except her own thoughts. At first, the experience is unbearable. With nothing else to focus on, Ren is forced to relive the memories that haunt her, especially Danny's death and the accident that left Jared in a coma. But eventually, Ren turns back to the reason she created Other Life in the first place. She resumes her research into Jared's condition. Finally, the counter reaches day 365. Ren has completed her sentence, and she waits for the system to release her back into the real world. But nothing happens. Instead, the counter suddenly resets to day 1. Ren is furious that the system has failed to trigger the exit routine. Realizing that she may be trapped indefinitely, she gets so mad she destroys the walls of the confinement room. Eventually, she manages to break through part of the structure and escape. Once she gets out, Ren realizes she has been physically isolated as part of the experiment and an entire year has passed. There is no record of the prosecution she was supposed to face, and when she tries to return to her apartment, she discovers that someone else has been living there for almost a year. Eventually, Ren manages to contact Cass, a former co-worker who is shocked to see her. Everyone at the company had assumed that Ren had simply disappeared and cashed out, so Cass had no idea what had really happened to her. Then Ren learns that Danny is actually alive. Ren meets him, and Danny explains that after the incident, he woke up in the hospital. Only 5 days after Danny's recovery, Other Life officially launched. The first run sold out in just 3 hours, and the company immediately exploded in value. But the most disturbing development is the confinement program. What Ren had originally rejected as a misuse of her technology has become the backbone of Other Life. Governments are already working on extending virtual sentences, allowing people to serve 10 or 20 years inside the system. Ren is horrified by what her invention has become. She doesn't care about the company's success or the money. Then she finally explains the real reason she created Other Life in the first place. Her entire goal was to save Jared. Ren could never understand why her father, despite being a brilliant scientist, refused to use his own research to repair Jared's damaged brain. When he repeatedly rejected opportunities to fund further research, Ren registered her father's patent and used it as the foundation for Other Life. Her plan was to develop the technology herself, use it to repair Jared's brain, and bring her brother back. After Ren and Danny decide that she needs to see what Sam has done with her software, they return to the Other Life building. Cass helps them get inside and directs Ren toward Byron's office, where they can access the company's secure systems. They find Byron there and restrain him while Ren searches the room for her stolen research. Eventually, Ren finds the drive containing her original research, and she and Danny escape the building. They then take the recovered drive to Ren's father's old laboratory, where she can finally go through her work and continue developing the technology on her own. The next day, her father returns, and the two reunite. He is relieved to see his daughter alive after believing she had disappeared for an entire year. Ren introduces him to Danny, and the three of them begin piecing together what happened and what Sam has done with Other Life. Ren then explains the secret project that started everything. The experiment Danny entered was not a normal Other Life experience. Ren had created it specifically for Jared, recreating the exact day when her brother's accident happened at the beach. Jared had hit his head on a rock and drowned in only a small amount of water. That accident was the last thing he remembered, so Ren tried to recreate the event inside Other Life and give him something he never had that day: a choice. If Jared could experience the accident again and subconsciously choose not to drown, Ren hoped that his brain would form a different memory of what happened. She believed that rewriting that memory might give his damaged brain a way out and allow him to wake up. But Danny had entered the same experimental experience without knowing what it was. Because he didn't know that he had a choice inside the simulation, his subconscious followed the original path. He experienced being underwater and drowning, and his brain filled in the rest of the experience as though it were really happening. That caused the seizure. Ren then reveals that the version of Other Life she created for Jared can actually rewrite existing memories. Robert immediately recognizes how dangerous that could be. But this is exactly what Sam and Byron have been trying to develop. Instead of simply putting people into predetermined experiences, Sam wants a version that gives users fully interactive worlds. With her research back in her hands, Ren develops an improved version of the experimental program and prepares to test it on Jared. Ren administers the new experience to Jared and waits beside him as the simulation begins. For the first time, Jared appears to respond. Rin sees signs that he is actually engaging with the experience, suggesting that some part of his mind is still capable of making a conscious decision. But then Rin realizes what Jared is choosing. After everything he has been through, Jared chooses death instead of continuing to live trapped inside a damaged body. So Rin finally disconnects Jared from life support. While Rin is at the hospital, Sam suddenly appears and tells her he saw what happened. Rin is confused, and then the entire scene collapses. She wakes up in the real-world testing room and realizes that her supposed escape was never real. Rin has actually been inside the confinement experiment for 371 days. The escape, Danny being alive, and everything that happened afterward were all part of a new interactive simulation she accidentally triggered. She is so pissed she attacks Sam for keeping her in the simulation for so long. After calming down, Rin tells Sam that she is withdrawing from the company. He can keep other life, but the patent belongs to her. After recovering, Rin leaves the company and goes to see her father. Now understanding what Jared has been going through, she finally agrees to let his life support be disconnected. The next day, while going over the data from Rin's experience, Sam notices that one part of the scan shows activity that corresponds to an interactive experience, meaning Rin somehow managed to create something inside the confinement simulation that was different from the normal program environment. But when she refuses to help them research it, he grabs her and administers the black liquid directly into her eye, then orders Byron to hook her up to the system. Byron is reluctant, but Sam insists they need the data, and soon the simulation is online. Rin wakes up in the same cell, and she is furious, but this time she doesn't panic. She sits down and reminds herself that it's just code. She has escaped once before, so she knows she can do it again. Rin then takes control of the simulation and manipulates the code to make the days pass much faster. Instead of spending another year trapped inside, she manages to experience the entire confinement in only a few minutes. When she wakes up, Sam and Byron are arguing over what happened. Rin attacks Sam and turns the technology against him, forcing the black liquid into his eye. Sam is trapped inside his own year-long confinement simulation. Rin makes him serve the full 365 days and then deliberately allows the counter to continue for several more days, making him experience the same horror she felt when her own counter reached the end and reset to day one. Only after Sam has experienced the full punishment does Rin release him. When he wakes up, the man who once treated the confinement experiment as a business opportunity is completely broken. He begins sobbing, finally understanding what he put Rin through. Rin then leaves with her father and returns to the hospital, where they visit Jared's old room. Rin then goes back to the ocean, the place where Jared's accident happened and where her entire journey with other life began. The end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.